Nice little cold start. Here we go. Oh, baby. This thing runs so good, man.
That's bad.
So I've been doing a little bit of work to jack here off camera, and I got this thing looking pretty darn good. Got both exhausts all welded up. Everything's looking pretty good. Welds ain't too bad. I don't TIG weld as much as I'd like to, so in between jobs I get pretty rusty and have to spend a few minutes trying to remember everything. But yeah, we're looking pretty good. Got the charge pipes all made. Not really a fan of having the couplers here, but it makes it so much easier to get on and off that I'll probably end up leaving it. There's plenty of meat in here that the clamps can grab onto. I think if it's going to blow off anywhere, it's going to blow off up here anyway. So got the blow-off valve welded up there. Got the 9th injector bung welded there, you can see, on a good angle. It's not pointing into the blow-off valve, so it's going to shoot kind of this way and go up into it. So I just have the 1/8 inch NPT to 4AN. Then I just have to run a line from here up to the fuel rail because I'm going to be injecting E85 into this, not methanol. Keep things simple. There's no dedicated fuel system for it. Don't have to run a separate tank, separate pump, all that sort of stuff. So the E85 injected into the charge should, you know, theoretically drop the temperature quite a bit. And, you know, I will say, so we have screwed around with this truck when it was single turbo a good bit. And I kept saying I would get around to putting the meth injection kit on it. You know, we'll take care of it. We'll do it down the road. I've got the kit on the shelf, yada, yada, yada. Turns out the kit on the shelf, missing a few pieces, which is why I kept putting it off. And this truck has seen 30 pounds without any intercooler system on it, just strictly hot air into the intake, injecting E85. And that's when I thought we torched the head gasket. Turns out head gasket was fine. Now, obviously, I don't recommend doing that, but it lived. So that was a fun little experiment. And now we have better head bolts, better head gaskets, because before we were using stock reused torque to yield bolts, which, I'll be honest, I do that a lot. I reuse those torque to yield bolts. I just tighten them down to 75 foot-pounds, call it a day. And I've had a lot of success with it. That's what I did on the RX-7 when I went 9.5 at 141 mile an hour. That was stock reused torque to yield bolts, just set at 75 foot-pounds. And that was one of these turbos at about 22 pounds of boost, I think. So this setup now has better LS9 head gaskets and ARP bolts, not studs. Would have liked to have had studs, but we could get our hands on the bolts a lot quicker, and we wanted the thing back together. So that's kind of where we're at. So injecting the E85 should help us quite a bit. We're just going to be running a single Snake Eater 1500 in the charge pipe and controlling it with the Holly, like I've said before. Just kind of trying to give a little bit more detail. Also, if you need any injectors from Snake Eater Performance, use code SnyderTron for 10% off your complete order. Save a shitload of money there, and it helps the channel out. So yeah, this thing's trucking right along. A few things left to do that I'll probably continue to do off camera, just when I can find the time, because I still have to put the wastegates on, hook up boost controller, run some vacuum lines, waiting on one fitting so I can connect this to the line there. I'm just going to tee it in after the regulator, and then wire it up. Should be good to go. Now, while yes, I did give Jack to my dad, this is technically my dad's truck, Jack still holds a special place in my heart. I love this truck. So it has me feeling very conflicted when I see people saying Jack versus the dime a dozen S10, we need to see it. Now, on the surface, I feel like it's pretty obvious who's going to win that. The S10 has a naturally aspirated little 5.3. It does have a power glide, and I have no idea what gears are in the back, and it's probably an open diff. I still need to take care of that. But it sounds good, and it seems to run pretty good. Whereas Jack here has an aluminum 5.3, twin turbos, better intake, better cam, trans brake, taller tires. These are 28s. The S10 has 26s. So I feel like it's pretty obvious who's going to win that race. The goal for the S10 is naturally aspirated. I'd like to see it in the 12s. So that doesn't really compare to a truck that I feel like should run 9s pretty easily once we get it all sorted out. But it did get me thinking about what's next for the S10. Because I feel like that 12-second goal, we're going to get that knocked out pretty quickly. It's a 3,000-pound truck with, in the neighborhood of 400 horsepower at the crank. In the neighborhood, don't roast me. I feel like it should run 12s without a ton of effort. But we are leaving off the foot brake, and no idea what gears are in it. And I'm not going to change the gears in the rear end because who knows how long that thing's going to last. I don't want to put a ton of money into it. So after we get the 12, what do we do with the S10? I was debating on selling it to fund other things because I'm an addict and I just can't stay off Marketplace. I was on Marketplace last 3 nights in a row looking at stuff that I don't really need. My heart says build the 55. My wallet says throw this thing together because I think it can be done relatively cheaply. And all of you guys keep saying, finish the damn Fiero, which, damn it, I will. Just give me a couple of years, okay? I'll get to it. It needs like 2 weeks worth of work. I'll get to it in a couple of years. Golly. So, as far as the S10 versus Jack, is that doable? In its current form, obviously, no. But, do I have the stuff laying around to make it competitive? That's the thing. Like I said, Jack has a trans brake, and the S10 is leaving off a foot brake. How do we remedy that? Well, I just happen to have another Power Glide here that has a trans brake. It needs a front pump, which I've got a parts Power Glide over there that should have a good front pump in it. I can swap that in it. This thing's good to go. So that takes care of one thing. What do we do about the slight power difference between a 400 horsepower S10 and a theoretically 900 to 1,000 horsepower full-size truck? Well, I could bolt that on it real quick and we instantly double our horsepower. That thing should be able to make plenty of power for our little S10. And like I said, there's still weight we could pull out of the S10. It has that topper on it. I mean, if we're going to be racing at a track, which I think for Jack and the S10, we might as well do it at like a test and tune at 131 or something. So we could pull the topper off, save 150-ish pounds there, and then we're under 3,000. There's a bunch of stuff inside we could pull out. It still has like heavy 1-inch floor matting. It still has that heavy bench seat. I could toss one of those plastic racing seats in it real quick. That's in the Farmer's Daughter, which I kind of have an idea for the Farmer's Daughter too that I was thinking about yesterday. But that's for down the road. We're not going to worry about that right now. There's still the power difference between Jack and the Dime a Dozen, but the Dime a Dozen is close to 800 pounds lighter than Jack. Jack, with the ballast in it for the streets and everything, to get it 50-50, is about 3,900 with driver. Now, at the track, we can obviously pull a lot of the weight out and get it down to about 3,700, 3,650-ish. And that does close the gap on the weight difference between the two. I think it could be a fun race, and I was kind of surprised at how many people in the comments would say Jack versus S10, we need to see it. I think it's mostly because they're both black trucks, but yeah, I am down. So yeah, if that is a race you want to see, let me know in the comments below. The tracks won't open for about another 6 weeks, I think is when 131 opens in Martin. And also, let me know in the comments who you think would win that race. I think I know who would win that race, but, you know, it's racing. Anything can happen. We'll probably do like unless it's a complete blowout, we'll probably do like a 2 out of 3 thing and see what happens. But yeah, this year I just kind of, I don't want to take anything super seriously, but I do want to just do a bunch of racing, which is kind of why I'm leaning towards putting the blower on the S10, because it would make it a little bit more competitive. It's still not going to be anything crazy, and it doesn't have a cage in it. I'm not going to put a cage in it, but the Skylark's going to be a cruiser. It'll be ages before the 55 is anywhere near resembling a race car, and Jack is probably our best bet at anything kind of quick, but I also want to get behind the seat, and I don't want to take a bunch of seat time from Dad, so I'll probably pilot the S10 for a little while this year until I get some other stuff built. So let me know what you guys think. I think it could be fun. If nothing else, just friendly grudge races are always a good time. I think the biggest thing is, even if we're not going to be competitive, which we're not, it's all about just getting out there, doing it, having a good time. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think is going to win the race? And thank you guys for watching, subscribing, clicking that bell to get the notifications, and I'll see you next time.